morning. Thank you for joining the Business Over Breakfast YouTube daily show. Excited to have you on again for today's episode, and looking forward to walking through a couple ideas and some challenges that I have been experiencing as an entrepreneur growing my business. I'm also trying out a new display here using my video and our logo and my company logo. A little busy. I don't know if I like it yet, but we will see for now. So maybe I'll do that instead. I like that better. So anyway, today I want to talk about two major topics. One of them, managing your day. This is true for any professional trying to manage their day well and make sure that they're productive and that they are getting what they need to get done every day on a daily basis. Very challenging, especially for entrepreneurship, sales and marketing. I know those are two areas that I've really been focused on. And then also, as I've learned more about operations, implementing my podcasting clients and that company, priorities is huge, and knowing how to delegate, knowing what to focus on, a huge challenge. So managing your day as a professional, there's a couple key buckets that are super tactical that I wanted to talk about, and then a little bit more philosophical ideas for you as well. First is email triage. I actually built some documentation around this so that I can utilize my sales assistant and executive assistant to help with email triage, and making sure that all sent emails are documented, that I can review what was said and make sure that there's a good thread available to me, especially when I'm hopping into a call with a customer, with a potential customer, with a partner, all very important components to emailing. Emailing is such an interesting thing to me too, because it is such a necessity in business, but you could spend your entire 40-hour work week handling your email. Probably a lot of people could, and you wouldn't get anything done. So it's just such a weird thing to me, how, we are so beholden, kind of chained to email, but it could totally take over your week, and you could lose all your productivity if you're only focused on emailing. So I implemented a triage system for my entire inbox that my assistant takes a look at every night, and she sends me a one-page email update around my whole calendar and my email, and basically gives me a update on the most important things that I need to take into account starting my day. Works out really well. She is a night owl. I'm a morning person, so she does that after I'm done for the day. And then first thing in the morning, 4:45 in the morning, I take a look at her daily update and can triage if there's anything hot or urgent that came in. I can also take a look at the calendar. So, related to email management is my calendar management. So she'll confirm all my scheduled appointments. And if they're not confirmed, then she'll make a note of that in the email triage overview. And then she will also work on rescheduling if that's a requirement, or moving meetings around if I'm double booked, things like that. And we have a spreadsheet that keeps track of all the meeting requests that we've implemented, and that I can then select whether or not I approve a meeting, and she can take care of it from there. So just some really cool ways for email and calendar management. It was a huge issue for me in the first probably 4 months of starting my business. But yeah, so having her, have a documented process that she runs every day and that I can look at every morning, has just been a really great great tool for me in managing my days. So that was one thing, email triage, so that I'm not spending my entire work life in my email inbox. Second thing is priorities. So this ties into a kind of big picture concept I wanted to talk about, but prioritizing your day. There's a couple ways. So as you know, I have an outsourced sales business, and then I have my podcasting business. So the outsourced sales business, sales activity and prioritizing your day is so incredibly important. So, I spend every Monday morning looking through my week of activities and meetings and opportunities and deciding what I want to do, what I want to focus on, what I want to be. If I were to, close this deal, then everything else would not matter as much or at all. So I quantify those, and then I actually write them up on a sheet. I'm not going to try and show you it right now, but maybe one day I'll have it next to me. But I write up, the priorities that I have, the list of priorities that I have for that week, and then the deals that I'm going to be focused on that week. And then I just check them off, So the one that I have up now is actually from the week of July 27th. But there were some bigger picture items on there. And then over here, which you also can't see, I have my quarterly goals. And I did a video on this on LinkedIn a while back, but I spend probably 2 hours going through quarterly goals. Let's see. I have revenue targets, for my outsourced sales customers. I have the podcasting targets as well. And then I have just some big picture projects that I want to be focused on that quarter. So I do 3-month planning, then I do weekly planning, and then my daily planning, that looks like taking my CRM, for this outsourced sales business, taking a look at the CRM and exporting that out, and then color coding, triaging that bank of activity for each day. So that's what prioritization looks like for me. And then I also utilize time blocks in my calendar. So, I'll go in at the beginning of the quarter and block out specific times that I want to be focused on some of the big picture projects that I know if I don't block out time, they just won't get done. It's such a funny thing. Like if we don't block out time, we'll work, but we won't be getting done those projects. And if we do block out time, somehow all that other work either doesn't matter or it just gets done another way, which is just really interesting when you think about that. And one of the guys that I have been connecting with recently, I'm going to pull up the actual quote that he had sent me. Barrett has just been a cool entrepreneur to follow with a couple businesses as well. And he, Barrett O'Neill, should check out his SEO company. It's pretty cool. But one of the things that he mentioned to me on a call, he said, the less you do, the more you make. It helps us build systems and think long term. That's just that's such a cool concept to me. The less you do, the more you make. So I encourage, especially salespeople, entrepreneurs, think about what you do on a daily basis and think about how much of it you don't need to do. Or if you spent that time, working on $800 quote or something, if you spent that time working on a 6-figure quote, would the $800 quote really matter? Or could you hire somebody to do that if you closed, these 4, 5, 6-figure quotes? It's just interesting to me, the concept of activity and priorities. And then that the big picture kind of corollary to that is high pay activity. So there's 3 kind of big picture things I want to talk about when managing your day. The first is high pay activity. So what do I mean by high pay activity? I think activity our days are full of activity as professionals. What does the activity actually result? What are the results of that activity in your day? Is it, putting out a fire, which could result in keeping a customer? Is it building a quote that could result in a massive new customer? Is it spending time with your employees, understanding more about their lives, what makes them tick, what motivates them? And then the output of that is loyal people, good relationship, a people-focused business, good culture, which connects into how those people are going to then treat your customers. So high pay activity. I would challenge you to be a little bit creative around this as well. I was talking about podcasting to a business owner of 2 businesses yesterday, or actually he owns 4. 3 are under one brand, one's under a different brand. But we were talking through what the goals in podcasting are and talking about getting creative with that. And we were saying how one of the goals in podcasting might be to employee retention, to have a podcast that personifies your brand, especially as your business grows and you can't have personal relationships with every single person in your business. Personifying you and maybe a business partner or someone else on the team that will grow the loyalty of the people that you are serving and serving alongside. And using a podcast to do that. But the idea is that, what is that actually resulting in the business? Because a lot of people look at, well, how is that going to grow my revenue? It's like, well, if your people care about you and care about your business, then they're going to care about how your business is treating your customers, and your customers are the ones that are paying you. You can also attract and retain higher valuable talent that differentiates yourself from other people in the market. People think that they go into different jobs or companies for the pay, but in reality, they stay because of the mission, because of the people, because of the way that they're treated. And I feel like when you think about kind of how you prioritize your day, either as a business person, manager, entrepreneur, salesperson, you have to think about creatively what is going to be the highest pay activity. Is that internal meeting actually a waste, or is it building a culture that's going to correlate to your customers and give you massive results in a year when you have a highly skilled, highly valuable, diversified group of people serving your customers? So high pay activity. The other thing that I'm maybe I'll get back to that. One of the things that hits me constantly is the tyranny of the urgent. There are these high importance emails that come in. There's, I'm getting pinged on Teams, my voice over IP, Sakoko, email, texting. I'm getting pinged from all angles of all these urgent issues or topics, and some of them are urgent, and that I'm not saying that they're not, and some of them need to be dealt with expediently. The issue, though, is you again won't get anything done if you just live in a reactionary world where the urgent dictates what you do every day. Reactionary is such a failure in business for so many people, because it really feels like you're fixing something. And it's nice when you have a clear task, it's urgent, you dedicate your focus to that task, you get that task done, and then it's like, okay, I finished that task. Now I've completed something. I've done something worthwhile. But you're not strategically building a business or building your career or your professional life, or building, your pipeline as a salesperson or your media assets as a marketing individual or professional. And then you look at your quarterly priorities at the end of the day or at the end of the quarter, and you've completed maybe one or two of the projects that you had set out to complete at the beginning of the quarter, which is such a shame because you felt as though you were productive each day, but you were only handling what was quote unquote urgent and allowing that to be a tyrant of your day. So I would encourage you to, there's always a balance with everything. It's the dichotomy of leadership, as Jocko Willink would say. There's always extremes. I would encourage you not to use the extremes to keep you from finding good balance. So, you can't be reactionary. You also can't be so strategic that you don't take care of the issues at hand. But, for me, I usually fall into the reactionary mode. So it's important for me to emphasize the other strategic mode, in my career. That also leads into perfectionism. Oh man, this is a huge struggle for me. And it was a huge struggle prior to, it's just been a huge struggle for a number of reasons. One of the things, I had a manager at one point in my career that was paralyzed by perfectionism, and I inherited that a bit. I also feel like I have a natural tendency. It's not all that person's fault by any means, but I felt encouraged to kind of live into that perfectionism. And if you are waiting for something to be perfect, you're going to miss opportunity. And that's the big thing here that I want to encourage everybody on, the one person on, to think about, is what is keeping you from doing something that is good, maybe not perfect, but that is good. Maybe even great, but not perfect. And I feel like that's been such a shift in mindset for me. Even this logo that's next to me right there, it's not perfect. There's like a huge gap right on the bottom here that was supposed to have some words in it. Whatever. But it's good. It's really good. I like it. Which is, what's important. Then you've got, my a new website that I designed here with an agency. It's not perfect. There was supposed to be a new video on here today. It's definitely, could use a little bit more work, I guess, but it's great in my opinion. But it's not perfect, but it's great, and it's supporting immediately revenue into my client, Pix, which is great. I think that's awesome. So I would really encourage you to take a look at and understand where you fall on the spectrum of perfectionism and how that may add to your business life in some ways, and how it may detract from your business life in some ways. Perfectionism can be a really great thing when you want to deliver a product or a service to a customer and you've thought through every detail and you're able to deliver that in an effective way. But on the reverse side of that, it could lead to paralysis, which it's done for me. And I've missed opportunity because of the paralysis that I experienced around perfectionism. So let's see, we covered email and calendar triage, documentation around that. Maybe one day I'll share that and kind of focus on that. We covered priorities, and prioritizing your day, leading that into high pay activity, and planning around quarterly, weekly, and daily planning. Perfectionism we talked about, and then we also talked about the tyranny of the urgent. The last thing that I wanted to talk about as far as managing your day as a business person, entrepreneur, sales and marketing professional is margin. I am someone who says yes and then says no. That's just always my mentality and the way that I end up operating, which is good and bad. I think, saying yes, you're able to take advantage of opportunity. Saying no, like if you look at Peter Drucker, the Effective Executive, or Tim Ferriss, his podcast, the art of saying no can be really influential and important for a professional because it allows for that prioritization and allows for you to make sure that you're focused on the right things. So, but then also it allows for the margin that you need in your life. So not everybody is the robot that Gary Vee is, who can, work 14 hours a day in perpetuity. I realized this morning, I hit Wednesday like a car crash, working 14 hours on Monday and Tuesday, waking up at 4:45 this morning. It just crashed into the day. And realize often that I don't have enough margin to be refreshed and recharged and to bring my full self and my full skill set into the day, and into each call, into each deal, each product service that I'm delivering. So having margin in your life is going to be so important for you as a professional. And I've experienced this, in college, especially. I was chairman of 3 or 4 different organizations at the college, groups, the Haiti Wheaton Partnership. I was a part of Res Life, the resident life activities there. I was co-chair of a research lab. And then I had my business, the Rosenthal Landscaping business, going there. Thanks, Hannah Swanson, for the logo. And then I had I had a pizza delivery job that I was doing. I was in bio pre-med, and then I would spend maybe 20 to 25 hours a week in the library studying for my science and math classes, since it didn't come super easy to me. There's no margin. Not to mention that I was dating my now wife as well. There's literally no margin. I woke up in college. I would wake up at 5 every morning. I would work out for an hour with Eric Verhaeg. Then I would, go to the library, spend 2-3 hours in the library before class, go to classes all day, spend a couple more hours in the library, go work my jobs, either delivering pizzas or finishing up a landscaping project. Then on the weekends, it was 8 to 12 hours of 3 different things, studying the job, or 3 different things. What was the third? I forget the third. But anyway, there's no margin. So I've been someone that's constantly eliminating the necessary margin in my life. So I would encourage you to think about how margin can help. And I'm thinking about this, so think about it with me, how margin can help you perform best in the activities and the priorities and your to-do lists and your calendar each day, and how margin is going to help you to do that well. It's also going to make sure you have balance with family. Part of my family is in my job as well. So, there's overlap there, but my wife and I have to intentionally stop my professional life and my thinking around professional life and my business, so that I can invest fully in my wife and into my marriage. And, without getting too deep into that, I think that the margin that you're able to implement is going to provide you a healthy household and a place of strength and rest. You can work from strength and rest instead of working from just being run ragged. I mean, there are people who build great, awesome businesses that don't work crazy hours. That's just a fact. It's not glamorous because people love the grind, and I love the grind. I'm speaking for myself here. I literally yesterday I worked from 4:30 in the morning until 6:15 at night, and I took a half-hour break to go on a run. So I love the grind. I'm a victim of this. I'm preaching this to myself, but margin is so important. Carving out time to give your mentality, your physical body, your relationships, rest and rejuvenation is going to be so incredibly important for you. So anyway, I really appreciate you guys joining. Sorry, I was just making sure there's nothing urgent here. I really appreciate you guys joining on today's episode of Business Over Breakfast, the daily show, my YouTube daily show. I'm going to eventually repurpose this into a podcast. So if you're listening to it on the podcast, I appreciate you. Make sure you tune in to all the social media channels. I'm active on all of them. And also there's a whole backlog here of 20 some odd videos now that I'm trying to produce each day. So I appreciate you. Would love to hear your comments around how you manage your day as a business person, entrepreneur, etc.